Hi everyone, I think this is my last video of the day because it's starting to get a bit chilly now. The sun has set a while ago. But this question is about what are the best things about living in France? Some of these things are kind of related to the other video I've just done, all about cultural differences. And so, number one, I keep looking over there because there's some amazing, beautiful view and these mountains that I'm looking at. And being able to just drive 15 minutes and walk up the most amazing mountain with beautiful views and streams and wildlife around you, and you get to the top and your breath is taken away by the whole chain of the Pyrenees in front of you. For me, that is one of the best things. What else? We have probably about 5 or 6 or 7 different walks that I could do directly from my house. Walking that way, walking that way, walking that way, crossing the field down there. You know, there's just so many options for just straight away being in nature. For me, that's a best thing. For my daughter, it might be just the fact that she has so much more contact with her friends and her life is so much more free. I felt like in England her life was more managed, and each hour or section of the day she knew what she was doing in advance, and it was kind of set, what with school and the routines of life. Here it doesn't feel like, especially if she's in an alternative school, there isn't so much of a routine. Life feels much more free and flowing with what you want to do in your day. And because we don't have a mortgage to pay for, me and my husband don't work as intensely as we did, and we work for ourselves, that has this feeling of freedom too, that I can decide that, like tomorrow for example, I know that I'm going to spend all the day making a wedding dress, and that was my day set for it and I'm ready for that. But today was Wednesday, so I spent the time with my daughter and her friend, and you know, cleaning up the kitchen, doing the washing up and doing some other things that you have to do. But yeah, it has that element of movement and freedom, which we didn't have so much. So I feel that that's just like a huge release and takes away a load of stresses. What else? Let's see, from my husband's point of view. For him, he's been able to completely change his whole lifestyle. He now teaches guitar and piano. He also teaches drawing and plein air painting. So even though he was an art teacher in a school, that means that his life, he's in charge of it. He's deciding when to give those lessons with, you know, the students. But he can go off when he wants, when the light is right, and when the season is right, to his favourite spots and go and paint. So for him, I'd say that's the best thing, is just being able to paint when he wants to, when it's right for him. Another best thing for me is going to markets. There's one here on a Monday, really close by, 3 minutes drive away, and that's where I do most of my shopping. And I might do it before or after the school run. Sometimes I do it with my daughter, sometimes I don't do it with her. Sometimes I do it with Robin later in the day. But yeah, so shopping is not just going to Tesco's or Waitrose and the health food shop. It's now going to the market, and then we top it up with a little bit of going to the Intermarché. But I leave that to Robin generally. I don't do that, he does it. For our quick little whip round to get our rice milk and very few other little things. We don't buy very much there. And then we go to Biocop, which is an amazing chain franchise health food shops that are in France, and then we get all our vrac stuff, which is where you basically weigh everything and then you pay for it like that. And it's a really kind of natural wood type shop, so you kind of feel like you're floating around this really kind of rustic, relaxed atmosphere to do your shopping. For me, that's the best thing, because it's one of your weekly chores, but it doesn't feel like a chore here. So yeah, I like that. I like that. I feel like spending time with others here also feels much more free. Before, I felt like there was like, you had to make a plan, you had to kind of book time with people and, you know, write it down in your diary and wait for those 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even like a month in advance. You know, you'd kind of stick to your diary and your plan, and then, okay, I'm going to London now, and you'd go and see your friends. Whereas here, that's kind of free flowing, and things can be much more spontaneous, and suddenly, you know, new things are happening in the week, and I hardly ever refer to my diary, and I do have quite a number of jobs still, not just dressmaking, but I kind of have it in my head, and it's not kind of, my life isn't planned in my diary to the T, and that was something that was kind of, I felt tied to, and I'm so happy that that isn't something that I am so connected to now, that my life is more free without my diary. So I was talking about people, yeah. The friendships I've made here, I wouldn't say that I have really deep friendships yet. It's been a year and a half. I'd say that my local friends, they have busy lives with 3 children each. So the times when we meet up aren't, you know, regular. So, you know, we don't have as many opportunities to become really great friends. Like for example, my best friend Andrea, I've known since I was 8, living in England. It's a completely different kind of friendship. But saying that, I feel like I could tell them anything. I could talk about any different topic with them. They're so open and willing to listen about anything. And you know, I'm a listening ear to them as well, and we still can have, you know, lovely long hugs together. It's that kind of thing, you know. They're not just neighbours, you know, they're more than that. And then at other relationships I have with people are beginning to get kind of more deep and thorough, and you know, they're going to be long-lasting friends as long as I live in France. I feel like that is going to be the case, and that's lovely. So yeah, and it doesn't, before I felt like, you know, you had to be at uni or you had to be at work to make your friends, and you had to go to a club to find your friends or whatever. It felt like there were certain things that you had to do in the UK for that to take place, whereas here it's kind of a much more fluid. Are there any other best things? I mean, I can see the moon up there and it is the 24th of January and the sunset, what time is it? It is 6:16 and I'm still sitting outside, and I haven't got that many clothes on, so it's not that freezing, and I've got my slippers on. Could I do this in England right now? No. So to me that's a pretty damn good best thing. There is just a much shorter winter. Autumn's still pretty long, but you can have really hot days in autumn here. Summer this year particularly was a little bit kind of wet, more than it should be. So summer wasn't amazing, but it'll probably be different this year. Springs feel really long as well. I mean, sometimes I'm smelling the air of spring already in January, and the flowers are already starting to pop up in the grass. We've got our first dandelions came out today, so soon my whole garden's going to be yellow. Trust me on that. That's what it was like last year. As you might notice, we don't have a mower, but we are getting one. Yeah, I think that's enough. So yeah, I still have more questions coming up. I'll tell you what they are. So if you're waiting for me to do my next set of videos, then you'll know what's coming up. Oh yeah, Council tax, I think you've mentioned the French equivalent, so I could talk about that if you're interested. The majority of rural houses seem to have septic tanks and their own water supplies. Number 1, is this the case? Number 2, are able to shed any light on how this works, costs and maintenance involved. So I could talk about that too. Let's see what's further up. How comparable is the cost of living in terms of food, household bills? I read an article by an American talking about how petrol was extortionate, and then saw the price that she was complaining about and realised that it's pretty much the same as the UK. I would say that diesel is cheaper here than in the UK. But yeah, US prices for petrol are much lower. So that's why she was saying that. For someone with existing medical conditions, how easy or not was it getting medical care and setting up medication and that kind of thing? How does the healthcare system and GPs work? That's something she wanted to know. What is the house buying process like? And are there any major differences between that and the UK house buying system, basically? And yes, it's very different. I think I've nearly answered all of the other questions that she posed me in this long email. So I hope that these numerous videos about moving to France have been intriguing for you, and that have shed a little bit more light on what life is like here. But I would say that basically don't be apprehensive, don't be scared about the differences, because in reality, you know, you make it what you want it to be. You live the life you want. You are going to make choices if you move here as to what kind of life you want to lead. So you would find a house that relates to that kind of lifestyle, whether it's in the centre of a town, whether it's in the country. You know, that's up to you, whether it's really, really rural and remote, or whether, you know, you're living near neighbours and you've got other people around you. So that's completely up to you. You decide your future. House lights are turning on and I'm getting dark. So I'm going to go now, and I will see you soon. Bye!